Let's begin with the strategies to win in interviews. What are the strategies? First of all, understand there are three phases of any interview. Simply put, they are decided on the timelines. The first phase, the first step is pre-interview phase, which is often completely ignored by most people today. Second is interview phase, when you are actually facing the interview. And the last one, although very small but important, is post-interview phase. So what do we do in pre-interview phase? There's a famous saying, if you sweat more in the peacetime, you have to bleed less in the wartime. If you sweat more in the peacetime, you have to bleed less in the wartime. So when you do not have an interview to face in near future, it is that phase which is called pre-interview phase. Okay, when you start preparing for interview well before you even have an interview called. What do I mean by that? There are two simple strategies. Number one is called TFY, that is they find you, and number two is called YFT, you find them. They find you versus you find them. They find you is a conventional way to get an interview call, where they give you an advertisement or somewhere they send you a letter, and in that letter they tell you that we are scheduling an interview and you are invited to attend that interview. Or maybe in a college campus there are few companies who go there to take interviews and select people for their company. This is called they find you approach. Majority of the people are facing interview with this approach, where if there is an opening in a company, they try to attend the interview. I am proposing here, during the pre-interview phase, you should actually work on and get instant advantage over so many other people. That is, you find them. So what is the meaning of you find them approach? Here I suggest you to make three lists. Okay, what are the three lists? Let us call it list A, list B, list C. In list A, you write the name of all those companies which are your dream companies. In list B, you write the companies which you think you deserve to get into. Okay, in list A, you are writing the companies where you may not have presently the credentials to get into that company, but you dream that one day you will get into those companies. At least 5 such companies you should know. Okay, list B should be those companies where you think, yes, you deserve to get into, with your present skill sets and credentials, and with little more effort, you will be able to get into those companies. That is in list B. And list C is a contingency company, that if I do not get into list A or list B, then I will choose to get into list C. That's your third list. Now let's understand what I have to do while making this list. Most people will not be able to make this list because most students, especially those people who are in student life or those people who have not planned their career, they actually do not know which company to go. So their approach is always going to be they find you. Whenever they see a job opening, they try to apply. This will never give you an advantage. If you select the company, then you can actually prepare as per the requirement of the company, and therefore you become a person in demand. When you know what are the good companies which match with your present competencies, with your present experience, with your present work style, where the work style and the requirement is matching. When you know that company, when you have shortlisted that company, then you have a chance to prepare in advance for that company. You have a chance to build a rapport with other employees of that company. You have a chance to create a correct impression through various channels on that company. And when such is the preparation in your pre-interview phase, you will be actually able to face the interview in a far more advantageous way, far more prepared, in far more better way than the rest of the people. So choose this strategy. What is this? You find them strategies. Make a list of company. Now the question comes here, sir, how do I make a list of company? That's where our awareness is lacking. If you are in a field and if you don't even know what are the companies which are good in my field, what are the companies and what kind of requirements they have, that means you do not have the domain knowledge. What is happening in the domain, you're not aware, you're not connected with the world. So please develop the habit of talking about what are the good companies, what are they doing, what are their key products, what are important incidents in their life cycle, if that company is a public listed company or not, what are their share prices, who are their CEOs and people in key positions. Try to understand this thing when you do not need a job. When that is called pre-interview phase. When you do this work on a consistent basis, and I have seen some example. I remember one student, how he created rapport by writing few articles on LinkedIn and targeting it to particular set of individuals into few companies and making a relationship with those employers. This all he did when this person was still doing his MBA. And when he came out of his MBA after a couple of years, he already had a job offer in his hand because he has built that rapport with those company people, and by writing his blogs in LinkedIn, he has made it very clear to them that he is genuinely interested in a particular area of their company, in a particular work. So he created clarity about what is the area where I'm going to work. For example, it could be, do you want to go into research, or do you want to go into sales and marketing, or do you want to go into administrations? There are many streams. Do you want to get into quality control? Do you want to get into audit? There are many segments, departments in a company. Okay. What is your area? And in that also, what is your micro niche? If you actually figure that out, it's counterintuitive. Many people think I can do everything. And when you take that approach of I can do everything, you actually do not get the job offers of your choice. There, because most people are like that, right? So if 80% people are competing for something, and if you are competing for same thing, you are one among 80, 90 people. And there you do not have the importance, there you don't have your say. You can create your USP by understanding what do you want to do exactly, by figuring that out. Take some effort to clarify that with yourself, and then do a targeted, uh, take a targeted approach. Which company needs this work and which is the best company in this field, and then target that company. So that's pre-interview phase. One more thing you need to do once you have made your list of the companies where you want to get, and once you have created clarity about what exactly you want to do, which work area you will get into, the second thing you need to do is understand what is the concern, key concern of that company. Okay, the company is looking for what kind of people, what are their main problems, what are their main challenges. Okay, please try to understand their need, interest, and concerns. Okay, what is the requirement in that company, what kind of work they are actually looking for, and what are their concerns, and now try to match them with your competencies and then target in that particular area. The more you are prepared for that in advance, when you have time, when you still have 6 months or 3 months in your hand, and the more you can prepare targeting that particular area, you are actually winning the game even before you start the interview. And that's the magic. Yes. So I hope you get the point. Remember, sweat more in the peace time to bleed less in the war time. This is about pre-interview phase. Now let's get into the interview phase. Okay. Now understand here two things with utmost clarity. Number one, what do you want from that company? Have clarity about it. What exactly do you want? Most people do not have this clarity when they go for taking interview. They are ready to take anything out of desperation because their pre-interview phase was weak. Whereas if you have done your pre-interview phase well, if you have decided which company or which group of set of companies are the one which are right for you, then you are always well prepared. You have matched your competencies to their need, interest, and concerns. You have already built a rapport with the key people in the company. You already know their style of working, and that will help you. So know what you want. And second thing, before interview, I should know is what they want. Very simple. What I want, what they want. Where these 2 points marry, where the 2 points meet, that is where your victory happens. So let's understand now what all you can do. What and how you do things talks a lot about you. Okay. I don't know, but many times I have seen people while preparing for interviews, they end up asking the people who are training for interview skills, what should I answer? Never ask this question to anyone, what should you answer? Because it has to be your answer. The moment you choose to answer, which is trained in during interview skills, please understand the person who is taking your interview, he knows what is a genuine answer and what is a mugged up answer. What is a genuine answer and what is a fake answer which is taught during interview skills sessions. In my view, if any interviewee doesn't sound authentic to me, most interviewers will not like that interviewee. If I can see only the memory part of you during your interview, if I can see that yes, you are presenting things well, but you are talking out of memory and it's not what you genuinely feel, I will not have the trust to hire that person, because that person is not genuinely speaking his mind. That person is giving a mugged up answer. Most people who are taking interviews, they are also teaching interview skills. So they know actually what is a genuine answer and what is a mugged up answer. So never answer something which is told to you by others. Never answer verbatim. Okay. So what should I answer? No. Don't learn it from others. That has to be your call. If you have done your graduation, post-graduation, then you have to use your mind, you have to use your logic, and you have to know what should be the right answer for certain question. Now you may think, sir, if I know everything, then what is the point in taking an interview skill session? The point is you have to understand that the strategy which you use should help you sounding more authentic, should help you developing a cordial relationship with the interviewer. In the end, the interviewer should like you. Okay? That's what many lawyers say, that if a lawyer has to make a strong case for his client, then his entire effort is to ensure that judge starts liking his client or her client. If that happens, then the lawyer has done a good job. Similarly, when you're facing interview, apart from your competency, apart from your track record, what is important is the interviewer should actually start liking your genuineness. He should see some genuine mindset of a person who wants to contribute, who wants to work, who wants to learn. Okay. Most people, especially those who are freshers, they are not hired primarily for their skills. Yes, a basic skill set is required. They are primarily hired for their attitude. Companies know that there will be a learning curve, a learning process for a fresher, because unfortunately in our education, most part of our education goes in mugging up theories, and very less of it is actually practically applicable. So most companies understand this flaw of our education system. So they don't expect an expert out of a fresher who has just come out of some theory, reading some theory in the college. They are expecting a person who understands basic, who has decent command on soft skills, especially on communication skills, who can accommodate change, who can mix and work with people of different background, and who has an attitude of learning, an attitude of work rather than avoiding work. So if that you can establish through your answers and through your style of speaking, then you are making a strong case for you to be hired. So I hope now you get that point, that what you do and how you do things, that talks a lot. How you answer, not just what you answer, how you answer. Is there genuineness? Do they see confidence in your eyes? Do they find reasoning behind? And how do you develop genuineness? When your whys are clear. You know, See, mugged up answers are coming out of memory, where you are giving an answer because it is told to you by someone else. But genuine answers, you know why that answer is correct. When you know your why clear, your genuineness, your conviction will be visible in the way you speak. And that will impress the people. Okay. Third thing, third key broad strategy. During your entire interview, all your answers should suggest that you are a contributor. You are there to give something to company. Your language should be such which does not suggest that this is a person who is only interested in taking from the company. For example, if they are asking you, where do you see yourself after that many years? What are your aims? What are your goals? Then, rather than saying, I will become a general manager, or I will become a senior manager, or I will get into senior position. See, a person who is talking about senior position XYZ, that person is interested about a position or is talking in terms of what I will get. Rather than using this language, use a language where you sound more contributor. So you can say, in next 5 years, I aim to gain experience of leading few major projects, leading few teams. I aim to develop leadership skills. I aim to develop this particular skill sets. I think I will enable myself to do XYZ. Talk in terms of what you will learn, how many projects you will complete, how many things you will be learning. When you speak in this term, you always sound a person who wants to learn and grow, and not only interested in becoming XYZ, becoming manager, COO, and all those things. That talks about the person who's only interested in what do I want. That's not the game. You have to become a contributor, and therefore, what do I give? Now you may think, sir, if I don't say what do I want, how would they know? Understand, when you enable yourself to give more, you by default become recipient of more things. Okay. When your ability to contribute increases, your ability to receive things automatically increases. You don't have to talk. Insecure people talk about what do I want. Secure people, forthright people, people who have positive mindset, they always talk about what do I want to contribute. And when that happens, you win in the interview. So please understand three things what I told during interview phase. I'm talking broadly about strategic things. Okay. Number one, know what do you want. Number two, know what do they want. This will give clarity in your communication without any ambiguity. This will also ensure that you are not giving contradicting answers during your interview. One answer is something, another answer is contradicting the previous answer. That takes away your authenticity, that creates doubt. Second thing is, understand about your style of delivery should be authentic. And for that, in your mind, you should have clarity about why this answer is right and why this answer is not right. When you understand the why, the genuineness is visible. Number three, always sound contributor during an interview, and that will help you use the language about how much you will learn, how many teams you would like to work with, how many projects you would complete, what new skill sets you would do, what kind of rich experience you want to get in next few years. When you talk in these terms, it always creates a positive image. Next thing, always sound a person who is gentle but not submissive. Okay, don't be a person who's sounding like a beggar, who's sounding like a poor person. Sir, please give me any job. I will do anything. I will try my best. Don't sound desperate. Nobody likes a desperate person. It's a sign of weakness. If you have a genuine need, express it with humility. Sir, yes, I am in need, but I am sure with my competency, with my hard work, I will be able to do justice to this work. Talk with confidence, even though you are in need. Don't be submissive. Don't submit. Okay. And one thing I told in my last session also, yesterday's session. If you have not seen, you can see that session. In that also I have mentioned, don't try to impress people, build trust. And this is 100% true even during interviews. Don't try to impress them. Don't try to impress them by putting up a fake accent or saying certain things which may look very obvious that you are trying to impress. Don't do that. Don't try to sound over idealistic. I'm a quick learner, hardworking, this, that, all those things what you write in resume, everybody knows it's copied from somewhere. Everybody knows it's just to put there. It doesn't create any trust. So build trust. Don't try to impress people. Next thing is, whenever they tell you to talk about your strengths or weakness, okay, please understand, just because you say these are my strengths, they do not take it that these are your strengths. And just because you say these are my weakness, it doesn't become your weakness. Okay. So if they are asking about your strength, don't just say I'm hardworking, quick learner, I have creative abilities, I can, I can adjust with people of different background. These are the things which are just statements. How do I believe that these are your genuine strengths? So always talk about the strengths for which you have a solid evidence, and always put this point in a style which actually convinces them that yes, this is genuine. So for example, if you want to say that I'm a person who can take challenging tasks and I'm hardworking, so say, sir, that you could say like, sir, during my college days in the project, when we were actually running short of time, and one of my friend, because of illness, could not do his work. It was me who took up this challenge to finish the task in time. It was really tough time, but I worked very hard to complete that project and submit in time. I was very happy after doing this, and I felt that yes, I'm capable of doing things when the time comes. Therefore, I feel one of my strengths, learning from that incident, I feel one of my strengths is I'm hardworking, and if challenging situation comes, I can work really hard without losing patience. So here you gave a simple evidence, okay? Evidence of your hard working. Similarly, remember the incidents which has justification for your creativity or any other kind of strengths which you want to mention, okay? Also, you can mention about your earlier rewards, achievements, certificates. If you have got, you can mention that, because anywhere where you have a backup, that actually talks about your strengths. So let us say if you want to talk about my communication skills are my strengths, then they are seeing it already. So if it is your strength, it will be visible. Okay, you don't need to give a kind of proof for that. But you can mention that, sir, I feel I have fairly decent communication skills. I think I'm a patient listener. I think I can take little extra effort to understand people and then give customized solution. Like that, please create what are the sentences which presents your strength in the right way. And please also understand what are the incidents which can back these strengths. Don't just say, if they ask you, give me an example of your strength. Okay, give me an example when you have written that you are hardworking, you are a quick learner. Can you give me an example? And if you are blank there, then it won't work. So please see that. Now, next point, if at all they ask you about weakness, please do not give the cliche answer which interview skill trainers often unfortunately teach students. Often I have seen interview skill trainers have taught students to talk about strengths, weaknesses which do not look like weaknesses. For example, I'm a workaholic, or for example, I'm a perfectionist, or for example, I find it difficult to say no to people. These are typical answers many students give when they are asked about, or many interviewees, because they are not just students, many of them are working and looking for a upgrade in their job and giving. So don't give these typical cliche answers. Okay, if interview is even little bit intelligent, if interviewer is little bit intelligent, he will know this is not a genuine answer. Okay, and the moment if a person like me is sitting, and moment I see that there is a mugged up answer coming from a graduate and postgraduate student who is not using his mind, it's a big turn off. Okay, I'm not going to hire that person because that person doesn't have the maturity to speak about the weakness. So what kind of weakness you should talk? Anytime if you are told to talk about your weakness, give your knowledge or skill related weakness which are not your core requirements. Okay, for example, if the core requirement is certain skill set, that you cannot say as weakness, but you could always say that, sir, I wish my English fluency was a bit better. So I'm a bit weak in my English communication. And then you can immediately back it up. Sir, I'm actually taking classes for improving my English fluency. Or you could say, my one of my weaknesses, my health doesn't support me sometimes, and I'm actually working very hard to make myself healthy and very strong so that I do not get sick again and again. Or you could name some other skill set which you want to develop. So those are genuine weakness. See, the weakness which are related to knowledge or skill, that is not threatening sign for interviewer. But weakness which are related to attitude, for example, sir, I cannot adjust with people who are, who are fake people, or I get angry very quickly. These are, attitude related weaknesses, and these are not good signs. I would not hire a person who is short tempered, who cannot adjust with people of different background or different temperament. Then is not a team player, and therefore is not a right person to be hired. Okay. Another important thing is attrition rate is an important benchmark for any company to see how well they are doing. Attrition rate means what? If I hire 100 people in 1 year, how many of them are leaving the game? So out of 100 people, if I hire 100, let us say 50 are leaving, then there's 50% attrition rate. Okay. Attrition rate is a cost to company, because any employee which leaves, he's taking with him a lot of experience of the company, exposure of the company. Company has invested into that person in training, teaching. That person has got adjusted and accustomed to that company. And now when he leaves and I have to replace that person with another person, again, that learning process is the cost to company. Therefore, no company wants its employee to leave early. So please do not give any sign of this that which suggests that you are going to be in that company for very short time. Minimum, you should promise to be there for 3 years. Okay. 2 years is a bit less. If I'm the company or owner, I would like any of my employee to be there at least for 3 years. The more, the better. So do not give any sign of you being a person there for short time. These were the few things I wanted to say. Now come to the post-interview phase. Remember, we started with pre-interview phase, then interview phase, and post-interview phase. In post-interview phase, you should always thank the person who has interviewed you, and after a couple of days or after getting back to your home, whether you get through the interview or not, always ensure you send a thank you message, a personal thank you message, and say thank you to the company. Thank you for inviting me for the interview. It was a good experience. Hopefully, we'll meet again. Something like that in future. We will have opportunity to work with you. Something like that. If you give it again, registers your presence in their mind. It's also a good professional etiquette to respond in this way. So do not forget to send an email in this regard. Okay. So these were the few things I wanted to tell you. Broad strategies. I have given you a big picture view. How should you think to do well in your interview? I hope you will find it useful. Watch it carefully again and again. Make your notes. Think about these strategies. These are some important strategies which can help you. And if you are looking for a job, try to use these strategies. Thank you so much.